Tech for Seniors, episode 51. It is March the 15th, 2021, and we have 94 people on our Zoom meeting and a bunch over on streaming. So welcome everybody to the show today. Remember, next week is our 1 year online. Pretty exciting times. I want to thank everyone for coming. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. That's part of the enjoyment that we have putting on this show. Since it is a volunteer show, no one gets any remuneration from it. So your being here and supporting us is just great. Thank you so much. We have also a group of people over on our streaming service. As you know, we stream over to YouTube. So thank you for those of you who have tuned in on YouTube. The shows are a little bit different. On YouTube, we'll be going for 50 minutes. And at the end of 50 minutes, just before the music interlude cuts in, we'll be stopping the streaming service. And that, however, you can see the rest of the whole show because we tape it all, and it's on our YouTube channel. For those of you who are on our Zoom meeting, maybe you're new here, you haven't been here before. The meeting will go on for about an hour, and then we have a question and answer period in the last 20 minutes of the show. So stay tuned for that. And of course, we record this show and it is put up on our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to our newsletter, please do so. It's at techforsenior.com. We send a newsletter out twice a week. And also, if you haven't been following us on our Facebook channel, we have, if you want to stay tuned to all the latest technology that seniors will be interested in, then you should be watching us on Facebook as well. So let me introduce everybody on the show today. Hewie.
Yes, it's me.
I know. Hey, listen, we got a busy week. What's going on this week?
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm here today. Tomorrow I get my second COVID shot, which, boy, am I looking forward to that. And then Wednesday I'm participating and doing a presentation to a group out in California. I believe they are. No, they're in Arizona, because there was a time, got to figure out the time thing. And then Thursday we have learning Chromebooks.
Yes.
At 3 p.m. Eastern time, which I guess is noon Pacific time, and then everything in between.
So how would someone sign up to learning Chromebooks?
Probably go to the Tech for Senior or the Hewie.net websites and find the links to get to it. And they have to register in advance, and they'll get a link to the meeting.
And if they registered before, they don't have to register again, correct?
That's correct. It's going to be the same link. And they'll get a reminder during the week of what that link is in case they can't find it.
Excellent. All right. That's super good. And then Bob, you're a tax expert now, I hear.
I don't do taxes anymore, but I have quite a few tips to pass along so that you don't wind up with fraud, because it is tax season coming up.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, thanks so much for that. And then Dewey, now you are getting close to heading back to your home. When do you exactly leave?
Well, we're going to leave Silveridge on April 8th, head for northern Colorado, where our son lives in deep snow right now. And then 4 weeks from today, we will be on the road, heading back to our home in Minnesota.
There you go. Super duper. And Ray, what's new with you?
Other than the daylight savings time for the rest of the country, but Arizona staying on standard time. So it's good for Hewie because now we're the same as California.
Very good. Now listen, I just wanted to, just because you're such a techie guy and you beat me on technology today, I wanted to ask you a question. What is the #1 song today, as of today, on the charts?
I have no idea. I am pretty good at any music from the 1950s up through the early 60s. You're going to ask me something about 2021. I don't have a clue. I even did not watch the Grammys last night.
All right. Well, I will tell you that it's Hold On by Justin Bieber. There you go.
If you see my music presentation, when I explain how artists today are paid for the number of plays on Spotify and Apple Music, etc., Justin Bieber usually has 3 or 4 songs on any given day.
There you go. All right. So let me
Canadian,
just,
right?
yes, absolutely. So let me just now share my screen. I want to give everybody a little tip today. And I want to show you something here. Now, this is just a little something that, okay. Now you should be able to see my screen. Now, here's the deal on this, why you need to be, I've been sort of wondering why my Google Drive has so much information on it. And then when I looked for my Gmail account, I'm looking at my Gmail account and think, why is it taking up so much room? But I never really got around to doing it. It's just easier to buy more space. So last week, I was at a particularly boring webinar, and I decided to, while I was watching this webinar as part of a course I'm doing, I was looking at my email in the folders thinking, well, I got to clean this up a little bit. And if you look here, you'll see this is obviously they call these labels, but we'll call them folders. And you'll see one that comes down. If you come down, it says AA presentations. Now, it says 24 now, but last week when I was looking at this folder, it said 673. All right. Well, so I thought, well, 673, well, it's been like that for a while. So I looked at it and thought, well, I'm going to clean this up. Now, just to let you know about this folder is that about 2 or 3 years ago, I decided that I would have the articles that I look at automatically put in this folder. That was one of my ideas a few years ago. I haven't looked in this folder for a very long time. I don't use this folder, and I deal with my articles a lot differently. All right. So I thought, well, I never really paid much attention to this folder because, well, there were 673 articles in there, big deal, right? So when I opened this folder up and I looked and I went up to the top to select all, there were 31,673 articles in that folder. All right. So the moral of the story that I wanted to tell everybody to have a look at, please have a look when you're looking in your Gmail and you're looking down here, the number on the side here does not necessarily reflect what's actually in there. This is a very small part of what actually may be in that folder. And in my case, each time I loaded Gmail, I would have loaded 31,000 emails into that. So I did a bulk delete, boom, they're all gone. But, and again, if you set stuff up, you set things in place, you better really check again, because in fact, the last 2 or 3 years, those emails just automatically went in that folder and kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Ron,
So
that number that's there is the ones that you have not read.
Correct. So live and learn, right? Bob, are you ready to tell us about bad guys?
Yeah, I think I sure am. Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending March 12th, 2021. Hackers breach 150,000 security cameras. A hacking collective facetiously called itself Advanced Persistent Threat 69420 has breached the video archives and live feeds of security software company Workada, Inc., gaining access to 150,000 active surveillance cameras and every video archived by Workada customers. The Silicon Valley-based company services a wide range of businesses and institutions, including Tesla, Cloudflare, hospitals, prisons, police departments, and schools. One of the hackers told Bloomberg that the group simply found the credentials for a Workada administrator account publicly exposed online and used that to gain access But shining a light on the security company's poor security was only part of their intent. The hackers said the breach was intended to show the persuasiveness of video surveillance and the ease with which systems can be broken into. Certain subjects of the video footage, such as gym members and hospital patients, may not be aware they are being surveilled. Once Verkada learned of the hack, the login credentials were changed and the group lost the connection. Microsoft fixes the bug targeted by the Lazarus Group. Microsoft issued a patch last Tuesday that fixed the vulnerability recently exploited by the North Korean state-sponsored hacking group Lazarus, also known as Zinc. Members of the group posed as white hat hackers in order to gain the trust of security researchers and then attacked them. Google and Microsoft announced the hacks in blog posts several weeks ago. The Lazarus Group took measures to appear trustworthy and legitimate, going so far as to create Twitter personas to set up a research blog. Once trust was established with the researchers, they sent project files laced with malware that then attacked the researchers' systems. 90% of the world's airlines may be impacted by a data breach. Some airlines, including Singapore Airlines, New Zealand Air, and Malaysia Airlines, have warned passengers about a security breach that may have impacted their data after aviation IT provider SITA issued a press release earlier this month announcing it had become the victim of a highly sophisticated attack that involved certain passenger data. A spokesperson for SITA told ZDNet that the breach information that included airline passengers' personal data. SITA, which claims to serve 90% of the world's airlines, said the attack occurred February 24th of this year. See the story in The Guardian for more details. Twitter sues Texas AG for harassment. Attorney for social media giant Twitter filed a lawsuit this week seeking declaration of injunctive relief from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Twitter seeks to stop AG Paxton from unlawfully abusing the authority of the highest law enforcement officer in the state of Texas to intimidate, harass, and target Twitter in relation for Twitter's exercise of its First Amendment rights, reads the court filing. Twitter claims that Paxton launched an investigation into the platform and accused it of conspiracy in what was simply a punishing, retaliatory action for banning Trump from the service following his instigation and flaming of the violence of January 6th. Paxton accused Twitter of politically conspiring with the other online services that banned Trump after the Capitol Hill riot, and he demanded Twitter and the other services hand over their content moderation policies for review. Read more about this story on CNET. I guess it hurts when the shoe is on the other foot. T-Mobile to begin sharing customer data with third parties. In a recent privacy policy update, T-Mobile informed its customers that they will be automatically enrolling into a data sharing policy unless they manually opt out. Beginning April 26th, all T-Mobile customers, including all migrated customers from the 2020 Sprint merger, will have their web and app data shared with advertisers. According to the Wall Street Journal, a T-Mobile spokeswoman said subscribers wanted the change, stating, "We've heard many say they prefer more relevant ads, so we're defaulting to this setting. Users who want to opt out can do so on their T-Mobile app under the Advertising and Analytics tab." Data privacy and protection legislation. There are several U.S. states which are on track to pass new data privacy laws during 2021. Some of these laws focus on consumer protection, while others concentrate on regulating data brokers or how ISPs should protect their customers' data. Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Connecticut, Kentucky, New York, and Virginia, which should have a new law this month, are all contemplating their own series of laws that mirror some aspects of the GDPR and the CCPA as well. Here's what to look for in data privacy laws. 1. The right to be informed about the collection and use of consumers' personal data at the time the data is obtained. This should include how sensitive data, such as biometric data, is collected. 2. The right for consumers to access their data, including copies of the data and further information of the means of collection when being processed, and with whom it is shared. 3. The right to correct mistakes in these collections, or to request timely erasure. This can be particularly important for consumers where decisions that affect them might be made based on this data. 4. The right to restrict processing of data. The right to data portability without impacting the usability of the data. UK banks, for example, now have the guarantee this to allow customers to move accounts more readily. The U.S. Health and Human Services Agency is even contemplating the ability of patients to obtain full copies of their medical records. 5. The right for consumers to object to how their information is used for marketing, sales, or non-service related purposes. 6. The right of third-party users, such as advertisers of your data. This has been a key sticking point for Facebook, for example, and the basis of the Cambridge Analytica scandal a few years ago. And that wraps up this week's Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure. I'll see you next week. Next time you won't say, how come it was so short this week? Ron, you're muted.
There we go. Yeah, the bad guys are still in operation, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right. All right, let's see what Dewey's Corner has to say today. We will see what Dewey has to say.
Good morning, friends. This is Dewey, and my Tech Talk topic for today is Tech News Updates. TheVerge.com recently reported on the much anticipated results of the FCC's recent spectrum auction, with Verizon and AT&T spending big money as anticipated on the coveted C-band spectrum. Verizon in particular spent a total of $45.4 billion. AT&T's total bid adds up to $23.4 billion. T-Mobile was a distant third at $9.3 billion, which was expected because of their already strong mid-band spectrum ownership, thanks to their acquisition of Sprint. Verizon and AT&T's current 5G relies on narrower low-band frequencies that offer speeds not much greater than 4G LTE, along with extremely fast millimeter wave frequencies that face significant coverage challenges. You've heard me tell you about that before. Unfortunately, their newly purchased mid-band frequencies, often referred to as C-band, won't become available until the end of 2021 at the earliest, and only in limited locations at first. According to Forbes.com, these newly available C-band mid-band frequencies, though used around the world for 5G, have been a scarce commodity for both Verizon and AT&T. Midband offers a great combination of fairly wide coverage and enough open frequency space to enable quite fast, high-speed 5G connections. It'll be a huge game changer for both companies. For a different take on the rollout of 5G, PCMag's reporter Sasha Sagan recently wrote, "These updates," and by that he means the spectrum updates that they are going to be able to have, "illustrate how meaningless the 5G push really is at this point in time. at least from the consumer perspective. Kind of shocking. The mid-band improvements that boost 5G should start showing up in 2022. We've long suggested that 2022, 2023 would be the realistic year where 5G might start to be a meaningful upgrade to the average user, and that timetable still looks pretty solid. Now, that's what Sasha Sagan says. And he continues, there's nothing wrong with buying a 5G device right now if you're already in the market for a new smartphone. But we wouldn't spring for one if you're hoping for better network speeds. A little bit of a shock. Unless you're already certain 5G can deliver a superior experience to your exact location right now, it probably won't make a difference, says Sasha. There's news from T-Mobile that starting April 26th, it will implement a new privacy policy, which allows the company to share your web browsing and mobile app usage data with advertisers. New and existing customers who want to keep their data away from marketers must manually opt out of the program. This new privacy policy also applies to Sprint and Metro, which are owned by T-Mobile. CordCutterNews.com reported this past week that YouTube TV is offering a special incentive for new customers, a free 2-week trial of YouTube TV and $30 off on a 3-month subscription after that. The deal is good for new users only and those who've never been YouTube subscribers before. You'll have to act fast because the offer expires tomorrow night, Tuesday, March 16th at midnight. Here's a graphic showing the offer. And reading that small print, it says, try YouTube free for 2 weeks, then receive a discounted price of $54.99 a month for your first 3 months. That's $10 off, makes up for the $30. And it'll be $64.99 thereafter. You'll enjoy 55 channels, on-demand hits, and unlimited DVR, digital video recording. No commitment required, cancel anytime. And that is one of the nice things about both YouTube TV and Hulu Live and a few other services. There aren't that many. 9to5Mac.com reported a few days ago that the iMac Pro has officially been retired and is no longer available. Truth be told, it's likely to go in and out of stock for a bit. It's now currently back in stock in the United States on Apple.com, albeit in short supply. Rumors have been swirling for a while now about a completely redesigned Apple Silicon iMac with thin bezels and a colorful exterior and more. So you have to look out for that or be watching. WhatHiFi.com reports that Apple is primed to launch a bumper crop of new products at an event on March 23rd. Several Apple tipsters are convinced that the new Apple TV, iPad Pro, AirPods 3, and AirTags will all break cover at the rumored event. AirTags are electronic tags that you can put in shipping and things like this to kind of track them on your phone. The current generation, I should say in suitcases, the current generation Apple TV 4K box was unveiled way back in 2017, so it's certainly due a revamp. These tips tie in with a Bloomberg report that claimed Apple was prepping for new Apple TV hardware for 2021. Some of you will recall that back in early February, I did a tech talk on Locast. That's a streaming service that brings local over-the-air broadcast TV stations to selected certain cities in the United States. Locast announced then the addition of service to 4 million people in the greater Sacramento area, if you remember that. Sacramento was Locast's 29th city. A few days ago, Locast announced addition of the Cleveland, Ohio market area. It's their 30th city, where it will provide access to 70 local TV channels for the usual monthly donation of $5.50. Ever since my dad, I'm thinking back here, ever since my dad bought a new 10-inch Philco black and white TV in 1951, excuse me, when I was a senior in high school, I've loved TV. For years, I used an antenna for local broadcast TV and Dish Network satellite TV for my cable channels. I cut the cord in 2017 when YouTube TV became available in the Twin Cities and was happily surprised to find I could receive Twin City local network affiliate channels, from ABC, CBS, NBC, and so forth, at our place here in Mesa. The bad news was that YouTube TV allowed these outside the home area Twin Cities local TV channels for just 90 days without a sign in to my YouTube account from my Twin Cities home. It had to be on a computer or a smartphone, a device. Then the channels disappeared. I've tried live streaming on my computer to watch local news on these Twin Cities TV stations, but these stations' live streaming process is so convoluted, I got to tell you, that it's nearly impossible to make it work. I'm so disappointed. If any of you TFSers out there have a suggestion that might help solve my problem of not being able to watch any broadcasts from my Twin Cities, Minnesota home network affiliate stations while here in Arizona, I will be grateful. Please post any ideas that you'd be willing to share with me in our chat box or send me an email at DeweyClose, DEWEYKLOOS @gmail.com. Well, thanks a lot. Well, that's my Tech Talk story for today, and I'm sticking with it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and have a great day.
Dewey, try using a VPN.
So Dewey, you might get some questions. We'll talk about that in the question and answer. Hewie, are you ready to go?
I am.
There you go. Let's hear what Hewie has to say.
The Starlink report.
This is
The Starlink report.
the Starlink report for March 15th, 2021. I'm Hewie Poplock. The Falcon 9 booster rocket took off from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station on March 11th, 2021 at 3:13 a.m. Eastern Time. Less than 9 minutes later, the rocket's reusable 15-story first stage booster touched back down on the floating "Just Read the Instructions" drone ship. 3 days later, Starlink V1L21 or Starlink 21 launched on March 14th. It set no less than 3 more records on top of the Falcon 9's latest envelope expansion. Aside from the increasingly familiar primary purpose of deploying another batch of 60 operational version 1.0 Starlink satellites, which Falcon 9's first stage managed without issue, Starlink 21 marked the fastest payload faring reuse by a huge margin. While slightly less spectacular, Starlink 21 also set the record for the shortest time between 2 SpaceX launches on the same coast, a little over 3 days, and broke Launch Complex 39A's pad turnaround record by more than 2 days. A step further, SpaceX has already scheduled its next launch, Starlink 22, no earlier than March 21st, meaning that the company's other Florida launch pad, LC-40, is also on track to support 2 launches in less than 10 days. A recently retired executive and one of SpaceX's most senior employees revealed his opinion that there are no obvious showstoppers preventing the company from flying boosters like Falcon 9 B1051 significantly more than 10 times before any major rework or part replacements are required. SpaceX is certainly doing its best to make up for the 2 launches in February. Starlink 21 was the third Falcon 9 launch in less than 10 days. Starlink 22 is already scheduled for March 21st, which would equal 4 SpaceX launches in 16 days. On March 10th, 2021, Starlink, or SpaceX, confirmed that their new constellation of low Earth orbit, or LEO, based ultra-fast broadband satellites is now available in parts of Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Northern England, which is in addition to existing service areas across southern England. SpaceX is seeking regulatory approval to connect its rapidly growing network of internet beaming Starlink satellites to cars, trucks, shipping boats, and aircraft. The request filed last Friday with the Federal Communications Commission marks SpaceX's biggest step yet towards connecting Starlink to the automotive sector, a potentially lucrative line of business that would expand the company's current stationary offerings from rural homes. The March 5th FCC filing asked for a blanket license authorizing operation of Starlink terminals on so-called Earth stations in motion, an umbrella term for cars, trucks, maritime vessels, and aircraft. No longer are users willing to forego connectivity while on the move, whether driving a truck across the country, moving a freighter from Europe to a U.S. port, or while a domestic or international flight, the filing read. Smaller passenger vehicles may have to wait. Not connecting Tesla cars to Starlink as our terminal is much too big, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk tweeted on Monday, responding to an article on the FCC filing. This is for aircraft, ships, large trucks, and RVs. SpaceX's request to link Starlink with vehicles didn't give any details on any new antenna designs, but it said they are electrically identical to its previously authorized consumer user terminals, but have mountings that allow them to be installed on vehicles, vessels, and aircrafts. The mobile antennas would fit on the masts of ships or on the tops of semi-trucks, or in consumer cases, on passenger cars or pleasure boats. Another SpaceX filing said. Unlike Starlink's current terminals, which come with mounts and are installed by the customer, the vehicle antennas will be set up by qualified installers. The next scheduled Starlink liftoff, as I said, is March 21st. And this has been
The Starlink Report.
And I have one more report on something totally different that I want to share with you today. Amazon Smile. Donate to your favorite charity by buying things. I'm Hewie Poplock. Are you waiting for a package? I usually am. Amazon Smile is essentially a cloned version of Amazon.com with one big difference. A portion of every eligible purchase you make through Amazon Smile is donated to the nonprofit organization of your choice. Although the donated percentage is small, 0.5%, every little bit adds up. Since first launching in 2013, Amazon Smile has supported hundreds of thousands of charities across a variety of causes to the tune of more than $266 million. Shopping through Amazon Smile probably won't replace your usual giving levels, but it can be a great way to supplement your existing efforts every time you click an order. More than I care to admit, I purchase from Amazon. Many of the products that I order are Amazon Smile eligible. Amazon just sent me a quarterly report that the charity that I selected, Eagle Village Incorporated, recently received a donation of $54.39 from Amazon Smile at no cost to me or other customers. This is the logo of Amazon Smile. You shop, Amazon gives. Here's an example of a product that I purchased. Notice the eligible for Amazon Smile donation is circled, and then I've made it bigger so you can see what it says. To find your favorite charity and to find out if it's eligible for Amazon Prime, go to guidestar.org and where you can discover nonprofits by using their search engine and filters to discover a charity of your choice. I did a search on user groups and noticed that the Sarasota Personal Computer User Group, or the Sarasota Technology User Group, is eligible, as are some other user groups that you may be associated with, including APCUG. Here are some examples. If you don't know which charity to choose or you're not sure, the one that I use is Eagle Village Incorporated, and there is a link there to the correct Eagle Village. There are several that are listed that have nothing to do with ours. The Central Florida Computer Society in Orlando, or the Sarasota Technology User Group, or the ALS Association, the Florida chapter, or a 501c3 of your choice will be in that listing. Once you have registered the charity of your choice, when you go to Amazon Smile and you do smile.amazon.com, make sure you bookmark that, and that's what you're going to use to sign on to Amazon, and not just amazon.com. You'll see up in the upper left-hand corner, it'll say Amazon Smile Prime, if you're a Prime member, and it will tell you where, of course, you're getting your packages, and then what your charity of that you support will be also listed. Now, I'm not encouraging you to purchase from Amazon by any means, but if you do, be sure to register for the Amazon Smile program and always sign into their website by using the smile.amazon.com, and be sure to bookmark that address, as I mentioned. And that way, at least a small percentage of what you spend will go to the charity of your choice. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel when you take a look at videos on YouTube that you like. And there you go.
Well, thanks a lot, Hewie. That's great. I use Smile as well for an orchestra that we support, so it's great. All right, I'm going to move on now, and we'll share my screen again. And we will come up. Now, this is a video that I'm going to be playing you, and it's in two parts. So we're going to have a part one, which will go for about 10 minutes, and then we'll play part two next week. This is on internet speed with your modem and your router.
It's Ron Brown with Tech for Seniors and another tutorial. Why is my internet so slow? Can it be my hardware? Now you remember the routine. If you like this video, please click the like, and if you want to promote the channel and help us, please subscribe. What is a modem, and does it affect speed? Well, your modem is used to change the signal from a transmission signal to a signal your computer is going to use. So basically, it converts the type of signal that you have. Now, there are different types of modems for each type of signal that you have or may have. For example, the modem is specific to DSL. If you have a DSL signal, then you'll have a DSL modem. If you have a cable signal coming in, then you'll have a cable modem. And if you have a fiber optic modem, you'll have a fiber optic, if you have a fiber optic signal, then you'll have a fiber optic modem. So each type of service you have requires a specific modem, and you can't swap them around. So if you have one, you have to use it with that specific service. Modems are almost always provided by your ISP. Oh, I'm sorry. ISP is Internet Service Provider. So they're almost always provided by your ISP. Now, sort of one size fits all. Now, that's not exactly true. I've had 3 upgrades to my cable service this year, and in each time I required a different modem to give me different speeds. So your provider may give you a different modem depending on what speed you want. Now, the other thing about cable modems is it's interesting that we have upload and download speed. And have you ever wondered why in a fiber optic connection, you might have 150 megabytes down and 150 up? It's equal. Down and up is equal. But why, when we have cable modems, is it always so much slower going up? In other words, we have 150, 200 download, but we only have 10 going up. And that's because of the software called DOCSIS 3.1 that actually is used in cable modems to transmit the signal. This is not something you can upgrade or change. This is what the cable companies use to transmit the signal. And this is going to change over time as this software improves and changes. But right now, you'll find a big difference in upload and download speed with your cable modem. Most ISPs will provide you with a modem. It's always better to purchase a modem rather than renting it, because you're going to pay rental costs over a number of years. The modems are not that expensive. However, most recently, ISPs usually will charge you a rental fee, and it's harder to purchase a modem. Now, a lot of the modems that are provided by ISPs now are a combination modem and router. This is not a worrisome thing because you can always bridge the modem to your own router if you want, but we're going to talk about this a little bit later. I should tell you about a recent federal law. This was called the TVPA, or the Television Viewer Protection Act. This was passed in 2019. And what this says is this: it requires the cable companies to negotiate agreements in good faith. Provides more transparency in your cable bill, so you should know what you're paying for. But here's the kicker: it bans companies for charging extra fees when you use your own equipment. So if you purchased your cable modem, or the modem you have, many years ago, why can't you continue to use it? This, of course, is a big controversy right now. The ISPs generally are charging you a administration fee or a maintenance fee or some sort of fee surrounding your modem, even if you do own it. There seems to be little incentive to actually bring this, put teeth in this legislation. So you can fight that out as you see fit, but most likely you'll be paying some sort of maintenance fee for this combination modem router. Well, what is a router, and can it affect speed? There are 3 main functions of a router. Now, most of you associate your router with creating a Wi-Fi signal, but the primary and most important thing about a router is to protect you. It is your first firewall safeguard against the bad guys coming in through the internet. That is why it's so important that you keep the software or firmware updated. The second function of a router is producing a Wi-Fi signal, and that's probably what most of you associate it with. And the third thing, of course, is routing, or connecting all your peripheral devices and Internet of Things. It assigns a specific ID number. Now, there are 2 things you need to do with your router to maintain fast speeds. And the first thing is update your firmware. This is so important. And most routers don't normally update automatically unless you have what we call a mesh router, and we'll be talking a little bit about that later. Now, also, it's important to remember is if you want fast internet, don't use Wi-Fi. Plug your router directly into your computer. Get an Ethernet cable and plug it right in. Some of the biggest mistakes I see is when people have their router sitting right next to their computer and they're using Wi-Fi. Everything we say in the last half of this video will all go away if you just plug in your computer directly to your router and not use Wi-Fi. Now, to log into your router is different for each type of router, but generally speaking, you'll put the IP address of your router in your search box and it will bring up your router, such as this example with D-Link. You'll then need to go to the administration section and put your password in. You probably don't know what the password is. Most of the time it's admin. Usually the password will be, the generic default password will be in your instruction manual. Once you put this in, you'll log into your router and it will be very easy. Usually you'll get a message like this saying update firmware. Click on that and you simply update the firmware in your router. Very simple to do. Please make sure, for optimum speed, make sure that your software in your router is updated. Now, if you have a router that's over 5 years old, time to get a new one. Lots of big changes occurred over the past 5 years. Now, in the bottom slide here, I have a picture of a router that's currently offered on Amazon. Now, the thing that's so important when you purchase a router is that you get one that's made this year so that you get a modern, up-to-date one with the current software. When you buy a router on Amazon, unless you know specifically what you're purchasing, you could be getting a 5-year-old router or more. Even though it's a new router and it's offered on Amazon, it's still a very bad deal because of the age. So I tend to recommend you buy a router from Best Buy who has current stock, and you're assured to get something that's a current model. Should you use a combination router that is provided by your ISP? Well, that's really sort of a complex question and difficult to answer. In general, the routers that I've seen that are combination routers are very average routers, but that's not always the case. For example, my cable provider this year provided me with 3 different modem router combinations. In all cases, I switched to my Orbi, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I had it bridged over to my own system. But in the last one that they came and provided, it was a very advanced router and even more advanced than the one that I have. So it really depends on your specific provider and what the capabilities of this hardware they're putting in. So I can't give you a specific recommendation on that other than say it's generally most now what I'm seeing is that combination modem routers are being the ones that are offered to you. So ask your ISP for recommendation. Now, the second thing that's important to know is that if you do have a router and you think the router is one that you want to use, it's your own and you like it, then you can bridge it to the existing combination modem router. And we will stay tuned for part 2 of that when we will be talking about mesh routers, Wi-Fi 6, and the ports on your computer to increase speed. Bob, are you ready to take it away?
I am. The time of year that we know and love has rolled around again. That's right, it's tax season. In addition to the headaches that come along with filing one's taxes, there are several security risks that some taxpayers might not be aware of. Many IRS-related con games peak during filing season as people prepare their tax returns or hire someone to do that for them. Here are 3 examples of these scams and security risks, plus ways to avoid them while you file your tax this year. Remember to choose your tax pro wisely. A ghost tax preparer is someone who will prepare your taxes but refuses to sign the return. By law, anyone who is paid to prepare or assist in preparing federal tax return must sign and include their preparer's tax identification number. Instead, ghost tax preparers will print the return and get the taxpayer to sign and mail it, or they will refuse to digitally sign e-filed returns, often because they don't want to be responsible for the consequences. This unethical practice exposes you to a frightening array of problems. And should those problems lead to an audit, the ghost tax preparer is long gone, leaving you, the taxpayer, to brave it on your own. It's important to remember that ultimately you are responsible for all the information on your tax return, no matter who prepares it. So make sure you choose your preparer wisely. Check the preparer's qualifications. You can search the IRS directory to find preparers with credentials and qualifications recognized by the IRS. Review before signing. Always review the tax return before your tax preparer signs and files. If it checks out, make sure the preparer signs and includes their PTIN. Never sign a blank return. If your tax preparer asks you to sign the return they've prepared, run for the hills. But first, report them to the IRS. E-file. Filing your return electronically is the fastest way to get your refund if you have one due. To ensure that you get your tax filings done safely and securely, we recommend checking out TurboTax. TurboTax provides a team of tax experts that are guaranteed to help you get your maximum tax refund. I've used TurboTax for many, many years. And no, I don't work for them. No, I don't get anything from TurboTax for mentioning their name. Phishing is a tactic cybercriminals use to trick you into giving them your sensitive information, such as usernames, passwords, or credit card numbers, by impersonating a trustworthy and reputable company or individual. In a W-2 phishing campaign, attackers pose as someone high up in a company or organization like the CEO, executive, or school principal. They then send emails to employees asking for copies of W-2 forms, which include all the personal information you need to file a tax return. Many of these phishing emails start with a friendly greeting before getting to the request, putting employees at ease before asking for the forms. Here are the best way to avoid those scams. Don't respond to emails, calls, or texts asking for your information. If you work for a company, never send W-2 or other tax information electronically without first verifying with your boss in person or on the phone that they actually sent the request in the first place. While it might seem like more of a hassle, it's worth taking the extra precaution, as the likelihood of this type of attack increases during tax season. In an IRS phishing attack, the recipient will typically receive an urgent email claiming to be from the IRS with instructions to follow a link and fill out a form. There are many tactics to entice the receiver to click, such as the IRS needs you to update your online profile. You qualify for a refund. A notice that your credit card was fraudulently used, but you can recover some of the money. You're due a large sum of lottery money, tax refund, or inheritance. In all phishing cases, look out for generic greetings instead of your name, poor grammar, or typos, conflicting web addresses, and web addresses for known businesses that are slightly off. To avoid being scammed, don't click, download, or reply. As a rule of thumb, don't click on links in emails from the IRS. That's because the real IRS doesn't initiate contact with Americans via email, text, or social media. Avast's secure browser and a phishing solution in the desktop browser is the first line of defense against malicious threats when browsing the internet. Our new technology outperforms other anti-phishing modules in other browsers. This new technology leverages Avast's best-in-class threat detection by keeping you safe by preventing access to phishing and other malicious web pages as well as downloads. We make sure that the visited website is not malicious and check if it's legitimate. On top of that, you can open bank mode to ensure you're having even a safer connection, as it will make a virtual desktop to protect you against injections of malicious scripts, keystroke logging, and screenshot attempts by third-party apps. Have a safe and enjoyable tax season.
I hate paying taxes. Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
All right, Ray, are you getting ready? I'm going to sort of say goodbye to our live stream, and then we'll see where we go. Are you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being on our live stream. We'll be ending our live stream right now. We'll be seeing you the same time, same place next week. If you wish, you can watch the whole show on our YouTube channel as we tape this, and it should be up later on today. Thank you for coming, and take it away, Ray.
Here we go. All right, sharing my screen. Now, I'm going to mention early on that this first year that I've been with Tech for Seniors, I've really enjoyed it. Played mostly music from the 1950s, and now, because we're starting our second year, starting next week or the week after, I'm going to move into more of the 1960s, folk rock, country, blues, Motown. Let's not forget the British invasion. So it should be lots of new types of music I'll be playing. But since last week, I had such a very good reaction to the dog dancing, I decided to follow up with something a little bit similar. And I'm going to talk today about You're Never Too Old to, and let's see what that is. So last year, just before the pandemic shut down the world, the 15th International Rock That Swing Festival was held in Munich, Germany, from February 20th to the 24th. Now, they have a website. It's called rockthatswing.com. And according to that website, they say that for more than a decade, the festival celebrates the diversity of the dances and music of the swing and rock and roll era from the 20s right on up till the 50s. And over a span of 5 days, they have fantastic dance nights, hot live music shows, competitions, numerous workshops with dance masters and passionate dancers from all over the world, creating an inspiring and unforgettable atmosphere. For many, the highlight is the dance contests for a variety of styles, including the Lindy Hop and Boogie Woogie, as well as jazz and slow dance competitions. They even have an endurance contest where the music gets faster and faster until the participants can't handle the speed anymore. Now, a very favorite couple are Dietmar and Nelia Ehrentraut. He is 73 and she is 67 years of age, and they have been competing in these type of dance festivals for decades. They're from Austria and have been married, and I'll make the point, to each other for 50 years. This fantastic couple confirms you're never too old to do, or at least try, something you're passionate about. So let's see how they do. What do you think about that?
Fantastic.
Yeah, I want to go dancing. This is great.
You're never too old.
Exactly. Thanks, Ray. That's great. Listen, everyone, it's the top of the hour. I want to thank everyone for coming. We'll, of course, be staying online, and we'll be handling the question and answer part now. Remember, be sure and come next week because it's our 1 year celebration, and we're going to have some special things for you. and all sorts of announcements and interesting things. So come next week, and we will certainly have a good show. Now we're going to move into the phase of question and answer. Again, we have a lot of people. Bob, we just about had 100 for the whole show today, eh?
Yes,
Really interesting.
we're
So we have a
still at
lot of
90.
people. Yeah, we got a lot of people online. So I can't see everybody on all the screens. So if you want to ask a question, please go to the bottom and click in reactions. You'll see you can raise your hand. And what happens when you do that is you pop up right next to us and we can see who you are. Okay, and that's really the best. Connie's the first. Connie, go ahead. Ask away.
I just bought a new router not long ago. How do I know if it's a good one?
Well, good question. Now you have to watch part 2 of the video, and that'll help you with that. We'll talk about dual band routers. You just bought it a couple of weeks ago, you said?
Well, I bought it within the last couple of months, but my tech helper, I haven't had him come over in the house yet. So we haven't installed it. We just got our second shot, so we'll be going for it pretty soon.
All right.
But it says it's a Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah. We'll talk about what. Yeah, that's good. We'll talk about Wi-Fi 6, and when you connect it, just it'll be a dual band router. Make sure that the 5 gigahertz frequency is turned on. We'll talk about that in the video. And in fact, if you want to play the whole video, it's available on our YouTube channel now as well. So you can look at that and how to set up 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. And we talk all about the different frequencies. So you'll have lots of fun with it. And let us know next week how you made out.
Well, I'm hoping that it will stop the spinning on some of my streaming channels.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it works out.
Okay, thank you.
Eric.
Yeah, hi. I've got a Logitech webcam, and Logitech comes with a camera settings software application. And everything is installed fine, but the software to control the camera, things like zooming in, zooming out, electronic panning, whatever, does not work. The software does not launch at all. Everything seems to install fine. My wife has got the identical camera and notebook, and everything's installed, and that software works just fine on her Dell notebook. Any suggestions on where else to look? And I've tried Logitech's help people, and they've given up on me.
Right. So Eric, what is it the 922, or what camera do you have?
It's the 615.
Okay. So the issue
and it used to work. The software used to work fine until about a year ago, and then quit.
Yeah. Well, now are you speaking? Here's a couple of things. One of the problems I had was when I bought my camera, my 910, is it wouldn't. I couldn't use the controls on Zoom. And in fact, and so if what you're really talking about is the ability to zoom in and zoom out and change the angle of your Logitech camera while you're on Zoom, is that specifically the problem, or can you control it when you're not on Zoom? Is it just a Zoom issue or not?
No, it's not a Zoom issue, because even if I have Zoom closed, the software will not even start, will not launch.
Okay, let me just tell everybody about my situation, and we'll get back to Eric's in a minute. And this was on a forum that I was on recently. If you, I think it's the 9, I can't remember exactly. I may have the numbers wrong, but it's only the 922, the latest one, that the software in the actual Logitech camera will be able to let you change the angles and zoom in and out while you're on a Zoom call. And mine, I think, is the 910, which it won't work. So it is specific on that. And if you want to actually zoom in and out and use your camera software, then you need to come in with a broadcasting type software like OBI. So it's a little bit different. So yes, there are some problems. What Eric is talking about, Eric, I don't know specifically. You would have to probably, that's a Logitech support call.
Yeah, and they've given up on me. Is there other software out there that I might get to electronically control the camera?
Yes, you can use a broadcast studio software, which would be something like Open Broadcast OBS. What is it, Huey? Is it OBI or OBS? Karen?
You're
OBS?
muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
OBS.
OBS, yeah, Open Broadcast System. You know, you'd have to go into, and that raises the complications up significantly, but you could, certainly it would work through that.
I have a 615 myself, and I recall recently in my Windows updates, yeah, I think there was an elective update to Logitech software. You might want to go into your regular Windows setup and updates and look for the optional software and see if there's one sitting there that you might update it and maybe it'll work.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Hey, Eric, you may want to try Minicam. That's something I used, and it gave me a little more control over my camera than it did with the original software that came with it. Minicam.
Yeah, I have Minicam as well. I
Okay,
don't use
I'll
it,
look
but I
at that
have it.
too. Yeah, sounds good, thanks.
Anybody else with any questions? Raise your hand, or I guess just give a holler or something.
There were some comments in the chat
Smith.
that apparently the Smile Amazon Smile is not available in Canada, and I think there was a couple of people who had said there is some charities that I guess that you can use in Canada. How do you use it, Ron? Are you using it using the US, your US account, or
Yeah, it's on the US
Canadian
account.
account?
No,
Yeah.
it's on the US account, and I'm sorry, I don't know about the Canadian part of it. I would think that would lend into a whole complexity because of tax issues and stuff. Let's mute Scott here. There we
Yeah,
go.
it is Scott. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be a big issue because of taxes and, you know, and there's some complexity with that. So that's probably why it just doesn't all flow through to different countries, eh?
Because the 501c3 is a designation here in the States.
Yeah, yeah. So that's all going to be different. So I don't know the answer to that.
Mike Smith had his hand up.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Mike Smith had his hand up.
Mike, go ahead.
Ron, regarding the router modem, I've had CenturyLink for a few years, and I bought my router. About the last few months, I was having problems with my mail not going out of my outbox on several of my devices. And I updated everything. I updated the firmware. And finally, I called CenturyLink and I said, I think I need a new modem router. And I said, how old is mine? And they said 2015. So
Yeah.
I am purchasing a new router, and hopefully that'll solve the problem.
Yeah, I go into it later on in the video. We talk a lot about that, and really, you know, as with anything with computers, by the time, if it's 2015, you've at least got a 6-year-old router. So time to upgrade.
Scott Lockwood has his hand up, and Scott, you're muted.
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, back on the Prime question and the Smile. Do you know if there's any way to use Smile when you're using the app on your phone as opposed to a browser?
I remember reading something about it. I don't do that, but I believe there is. You probably have to do a search on it. I think there's a way to log in to your account to smile.amazon.com as opposed to amazon.com.
Okay.
Because
I tried to do that with affiliate accounts, and I couldn't find any way that I could give some money to one of these affiliates by using my app, and that is kind of my go-to route, is using the Amazon app as opposed to a browser. But I was just wondering if anybody had experience with that. I'll do a little searching on it.
Have you checked your account setting in the app? It may be in there.
I'll look there. Thanks.
Dorothy, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Two questions. I just switched to the Shaw Blue Sky wireless router system. And this morning's breaking news was that Rogers is purchasing Shaw for $26 billion.
Oh,
I'm
really?
wondering if it's going to affect anything, because Rogers does not have a good reputation. I've read a lot of articles about them. So
I'm floored. Like, I mean, I'm
it's gonna
Dorothy,
take
I
about a
didn't know.
year.
I didn't know that, which is interesting. You
Yeah.
will have the same, you will have the same modem that I have, and it is a mesh router, and it is a really interesting. It's a very high end. I don't use that because I bridge my Orbi to it, but you'll have the same if you have the Blue Sky, because of course they use the wireless connectivity with the with that mesh router to provide the internet, to provide your TV to all your different TVs. Don't know. I'm just floored at it. I mean,
I just thought I'd throw it out there.
yeah, interesting. Thanks for the update.
The other question I had is, we have a computer club laptop. I've been updating laptops for about a year because we can't go to our facility, but I have an Asus laptop that looks like a fairly new laptop, but it won't upgrade past 1909. It keeps saying that the 2004 update is coming.
Right.
I just don't understand. I've done a lot of research, but
it depends on the system resources of your laptop. And when before Microsoft will install it, it does a review of the components and stuff of the, looks at the RAM and everything on that computer to see if it will technically actually update. And so if it won't, then it's probably doesn't have the hardware resources to update it too.
because I mean, I had a Dell, but Dell decided not to do drivers for my 17-inch Inspiron. So
right,
it's kind of going to be a Chromebook or a Linux machine.
Well, you know where you could come this Thursday to learn about Chromebooks.
Yes, so and to confirm that time with our time change yesterday, it's normally at 11. So it is at 12 Pacific time?
No, it'll be the same time, isn't it?
Same time. Okay.
It'll be the same time.
Okay.
It'll be 11 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you.
For Scott, I have posted the link to how to use that on your app for Smile in the chat.
Okay.
Learning Chromebooks is at 3 p.m., isn't it, Ron? Is it 3 or 2? I don't remember now. You all got me confused.
Chris, go ahead. Well, I'm looking that up. Chris, you go ahead.
Okay. There was a discussion in the pre-show about hard drives, and I just want to give a brief overview here, because as you're buying your new computer or your notebook, you really ought to pay attention to what kind of hard drives it is. And they're pretty much all solid state hard drives, and think that the solid state is 5 times faster than the old spinning drives. But there are 2 types of SSD drives. One is called the SATA drive, the SATA drive, which is with its maximum speed is 570 megabytes. The new one that most people are putting in the new machines is called the NVMe. It's the 2nd generation. It's 5 times faster than the original SSD drive and goes up to 2,600 megabytes per second. Now, if you're thinking about making your computer faster, the single most effective way to speed it up the fastest is to change your SSD drive. So my point is, if you're buying a new computer, notebook, Chromebook, whatever, look for one that has the NVMe drive in it, because it's going to be a lot faster. If you're processing a large amount of files or looking at a lot of Zoom things, etc., it's going to make a big difference in what you're doing. So just a warning about when you're buying a computer, look for the NVMe drives. Thank you.
Chris, well, first of all, Dewey, coming back to Hewie, it is learning Chromebooks is 11 a.m. Pacific time and 2 p.m. Eastern time. And it will be, and that is exactly the time that it will be there. So it doesn't change. It's exactly the same. 2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Pacific time. What what was George, and I know George has his hand up, maybe he'll elaborate on that. What Chris was just describing is the bus. Is that not right, George? Are you?
I'm sorry, I was going to answer a different question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, that maybe it's a different person. But what you're describing, Chris, I think is the bus that's connected to the drive. Okay, and that's in for sure. It is a difference in speed, but I think what you're referring to is how the drive is connected, and that's the bus on the drive. Okay, and you're right. It's a big difference in speed. George, go ahead. Go ahead.
A couple of points. First of all, that purchase by Rogers from Shaw has to go through 3 different government anti-competition regulation reviews. Whether it'll get past those, I really doubt. But the other point is, which organization is getting the tax benefit of donating to these nonprofit or these? Because when you donate directly yourself to a I don't know, a 501c is it in the US?
Yeah.
You get a tax rebate for your donation. When Amazon donates to it, who's getting the tax benefit?
Sure, Amazon probably is.
Yeah,
but since
and they really need the money, don't they?
Well, it's still, you're paying for a product, and part of your purchase price is donated to the charity of your choice. As to who gets the benefit of that donation for tax purposes, who cares, as long as the charity is receiving something and it doesn't cost you anything. That's the important
I
part.
care because I'd rather give directly, and I use Canada Helps.
Well, this has nothing to do with giving direct. We still do that. But if you're already purchasing anyway using Amazon, then it might as well also generate some income for a charity.
All right. It's 20 minutes after 10, after wherever you are. I think we're gonna call it a day today. Thanks everyone for coming. Thank you for being here, Hewie. I'll see you on Thursday, eh?
Yes, absolutely.
And Dewey, I guess I'm gonna see you tomorrow, eh?
I had to unmute myself. Yes, you will. We'll be there with bells
Yes, you
on.
will.
And Bob, I'll see you tomorrow. Hey,
Yes,
Ray,
sir.
I don't see you as much.
I feel bad. I feel left out.
All right. Listen, everyone, remember next week, 52 episodes. Come next week.
It is
Bye,
a bring
everyone,
your
today.
it is a bring your own champagne though.
It is. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.